And it's the world's fastest half mile, Thunder Valley, just off Route 11 in the hills of northeast Tennessee. Cars are rolling as Speed Channel presents final practice for the first short track race of the 2005 NASCAR Busch Series season. Hello everyone, Matt Gilligan alongside Larry McReynolds and Jeff Hamm as we prepare for the final practice session here at Bristol for the NASCAR Busch Series. And Larry Mack, when you look all up and down the faces of these crew members, these guys have been burning basically the midnight oil all year without a break. And I think the significance of this race weekend, next weekend's an off weekend for the Busch guys.
Yeah, I mean, while the Nextel Cup teams have had 2 off weekends, now mind you, they're on 17 in a row starting here, but these Busch Series teams, they have not had an off weekend and probably not an off day since before Daytona. They've been all over the country. They've been to Daytona. They've been to Fontana, Las Vegas, a road course race in Mexico. And even though everyone loves short track racing, especially here at Bristol, trust me, these guys are wanting to get through this weekend where they can regroup, where they can rest just a little bit.
Well, wait a minute. Regroup and rest.
But what if you reach Sorensen and Carl Edwards?
Exactly. You don't want to stop. You want to keep it going. I mean, they've got momentum right now. Last week at Nashville, Tennessee, this young man, Reed Sorensen, had that number 41 car on a rail, and he took advantage of every bit of it. He pretty much just annihilated the competition. He comes straight here to Bristol and still up at the top of the pack. I mean, these guys, they don't want to see a weekend off.
And if that's not enough, they also, Brian, Patty, and that group, they've been testing all over the place. I know since Nashville, they were at Phoenix for 2 days earlier in the week testing out there.
Well, let's go down to pit road and join our 4th member of our final practice session here at Bristol on Speed Team, and that's the editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dr. Dirt, Dick Berger.
Yeah, and I don't want a weekend off either. I want to keep going to the races. We're having a good time doing this. Why? Because a couple of weekends ago, Carl Edwards, Atlanta Motor Speedway, first-time winner in the NASCAR Busch Series. Then last weekend, Nashville, Tennessee, Reed Sorensen, first-time winner in the NASCAR Busch Series. What are our chances this weekend of another first-time winner? Good, real good. And I like Shane Meal's chances. Car number 32, 24 years old, 3rd last weekend, 4 times in this kid's career. He has finished 3rd, never won. But we had a practice session just a little while ago here in Thunder Valley. Shane Meal, 2nd quick. Could have 3 first-time winners in a row.
Nick, I think there's no question. Shane Meal is all over the top of winning his very first race. He shows, I mean, a lot like Reed Sorensen, he's strong every week. They're just having a little bit of problem closing that deal, making it to the end of the race.
I think you're still working through some of the facts that it's still relatively a new team, working a lot of little bugs out. I mean, moved into a new location as far as the shop's concerned during the off season, getting all these little things worked out. And I think you brought it up, pointed out, they've been on a tear since the first part of the year as far as these crews working and being gone and not having a lot of time to really focus on maybe the little things. And I think it's just the little things that are keeping him out of victory lane.
But I think if you look back to this race 1 year ago, Jeff and Larry, the guy who really dominated that event was the 8 of Martin Truex Jr., and they couldn't wait to get back here to Bristol to defend their title. He's had a great run here in 3 starts.
Oh, he really has, and but the thing that's still interesting is the fact that he is, in my opinion, hasn't showed the muscle that he did all last year. It seemed like every place they went, they were the surprise. I mean, Martin Truex wasn't supposed to even run the entire season. They were just going to do it as they went along. And the next thing you know, hey, they started running for the championship, started winning races, and as the year went on, they got stronger and stronger. But this year, they're kind of scratching their head.
This race 1 year ago was a huge confidence booster for both Martin and that entire team. And if you look back comparing the first 6 races this year to the first 6 races last year, you can see he's a little bit behind in the top 10 department and the average finish, but he has a win, that coming at Mexico City compared to a win he had. And let's go check out the 60 car. There's Carl Edwards, the championship point leader.
This guy, he just seems like everywhere he goes, it does not matter if it's at a road course or a super speedway or a short track. This guy's on their mark. Remember, doing double duty in both series full time, the full Nextel Cup season as well as the Busch Series. Right now, all of the events for the most part have been companion events. It'll get a little bit tougher later on in the year, as Greg Biffle did the same thing in his car last year.
But guys, look, he's got to be fast. He's got Speed Channel on the bottom quarter panel right below that charter. And you know good and well that he's going to be trying to represent us quite well.
Right now, he's 24th quickest in this practice session.
And he has had just a great season so far, winning his first race at Atlanta 2 weeks ago. And he's just leading everybody right now in just about every category. Laps led, he's second, average finish second, points first, and top 10s first.
And you're missing something. He's definitely got a 10 on his backflip already.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, ain't nobody going to beat this kid right now.
And if you look back to his history here at Bristol, a Truck Series win, so that confidence coming back into this place has to be enormous.
See Denny Hamlin there in the 20 car, had a pretty decent run in Nashville last week, finished 9th. And now that's Jeremy Mayfield in Rusty Wallace's number 64 car. Of course, Jimmy McMurray raced this car at Nashville, but Jeremy's in it this week here at Bristol.
Same car Rusty finished 7th with last year at Michigan.
See Joe Nemechek there being followed by the 38 car of Tyler Walker. And if Tyler wants to learn how to get around this racetrack, that's a pretty good guy
But
to follow.
he's already gone around this racetrack, but it was on dirt back in 2000.
Does that count?
Well, it's still Thunder Valley.
It's still Thunder Valley.
Well, let's take a look at the weekend slate across the entire Fox family of racing networks. Later today, 5:30 Eastern, Nextel Cup Series qualifying. And a big day tomorrow on Speed and Fox. Busch Series qualifying high noon, followed by Busch Series racing presented by Reese's at 2 o'clock Eastern. And then Sunday, kick off your day, 11 a.m. Eastern. NASCAR this morning on Speed. And then jump over to the big and bodacious Fox, 12:30 Eastern. Nextel Cup Series racing. Then end your day, NASCAR Victory Lane at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's a lot of racing.
They're doing it. We're covering it.
Final practice continues at the Bristol Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Busch Series. And Martin Truex Jr., the defending championship winner from 2004, leading the way on the speed charts.
There's brother Mikey right there in his Aaron's Dream Machine going around. He hasn't really had the Busch season I think he was looking for so far, guys. I think that he is definitely would like to get back here to a place like Bristol where he's always run extremely well and try to get back on track.
Has 2 wins here.
And the last one, he stood on his head in Victory Lane.
And then if I'm not mistaken, the one before that, did he propose to Buffy?
That's the one.
He said the only way he could top that was to stand on his head in Victory Lane, and then he won the race, and guess what? That's what he did.
And the thing we need to make the fans understand right now, the viewers, is the fact that a lot of different agendas going on right now. Now, Michael Waltrip would be one of those cars in the morning when we have qualifying. He would basically be a go or go home. He has to get into the race on his qualifying time. There you see his 2 wins in 1993 and 10 years later in 03. But these guys, they got a practice session earlier. This is their final practice session. Then they qualify in the morning and roll right into race mode.
And Larry Mack, the sun has finally come out.
We knew it eventually. We as DW says, we have that vortex going. And but Dick Bergman, what's going on with our points leader, Carl Edwards?
Well, Carl Edwards is not having any fun at all this afternoon, Larry Mack. The car is just playing way tight on it. And they're in the process of changing the left front spring, and they're probably going to change a whole lot more before they send him back out again. Meanwhile, Shane Neal in the 32, we talked about him at the head of the show. He just hit the radio and said the car is perfect.
Shane Neal, third quick at this point in time. Now, you can see the 8 car in the background, Martin Truex. He's in making some adjustments.
Now here we see Ray Evernham's Busch car, the 6 car. Now remember, the season started, Paul Wolf was in this car, and then Casey Kane drove it at Nashville. But owner Ray Evernham felt it essential to have a veteran driver with short track experience at this demanding racetrack. So he basically put Mike Wallace in this car right now. In this practice session, Mike is 12th quickest.
And he's run extremely well at this racetrack before, especially in the Busch Series. And he had a pretty good-looking Nextel Cup practice also early on today. So Mike, I think, was a very good choice to put in this car. He's a veteran at this racetrack and has run extremely well here.
And I think a guy who has had a very quiet but impressive year so far is the 47 car right in front of Mike Wallace, that being John Wood.
Had a good run at Nashville, led the race for a little bit. They had some problems with a fender, got caught up in a crash. His crew overcame it and had a good solid run there last week.
And this is his first full season driving Busch. So again, part of that learning curve, having to get used to a new team, new crew chief, and the way things are, it will take this maybe a little while for them to kind of get on track, but they're starting to show some really strong flashes of brilliance.
And talking about a guy who's really had a great season so far, too, is Clint Boyer in the 2 car. You know, I was walking out through the tunnel about 3 hours ago, and he said, you know what, running every race has been a world of difference for me. That consistency of being in the car week after week has been a huge change from last year when he had to split the 21 car with Kevin Harvick.
And I think the same thing's going on with the 10 car, Michelle Jourdain. Remember, he's seeing most of these racetracks for the first time. And can you imagine how intimidating this place would be the first time you walk into it? And right now in this practice session, he's sitting there 8th. But I think that run he had a couple of weeks ago at Atlanta, only top 10 finisher that's a full-time Busch Series driver that's not in Cup. I think that did so much for him and his team as far as boosting their confidence.
But you know what? Let's take a look right there at Martin Truex back on the track trying to get that number 8 car tuned in a little bit better. Michelle told me that probably the trip to Mexico helped boost his confidence as much as anything because he had his hometown really cheering him on, and he realized that, you know, guys, this is cool. I'm coming back here in a totally different style of car, but my fans still love me no matter what I race. And I believe he ran well enough there, and he went to Atlanta, backed that up, and had a good strong run at Nashville last week. They're getting their act together.
3 career starts here at Bristol for Martin Truex, a 6th, a 1st, and a 7th. And a guy who's making his first start here at Bristol since 1998 is Jeff Burton, and he's our guest in the pits.
Hey, what's going on?
How's the car so far, Jeff? Jeff, how's the car so far? You're second on the charts.
Yeah, it's actually really fast. We ran 100 laps in the first practice, and that's all we're going to run today. We made a qualifying lap in the first run, the first practice this morning, and we were too tight, and we were too loose that time. So we're going to go back and hit the middle. I feel pretty good about it qualifying. We just need to sit on some tires here. We don't have enough tires to run anymore, so we'll just take the Reese's peanut butter lovers car, put it on the scales, and get ready for tomorrow.
But now, Jeff, you're actually in the Richard Childress Racing 21 car that's running all the races. Kevin Harvick ran 4 races in. Brandon Miller ran 2. Now, Brandon's not racing here this week, but you're in the 21, and Kevin Harvick is in the 29 car.
Yeah, that's right. I'm driving the 21, and Kevin's driving the 29. All the guys from the 21 are on the 29, and this is our test team. We're headed up by Bobby Leslie. They're doing this program, and Kevin Hamlin's crew chief this weekend. So a little bit of mixing up of the numbers. Had a lot of reasons for doing that, and in case it rained, that got both of us pretty much in the show. And we looked at the forecast a little bit ahead of time and decided to switch those numbers and try to make sure both cars got the show.
Yeah, you would be in simply because of being in the 21 car. Kevin Harvick would be in because he's a winner from last year.
Yeah, that's right, and he's a former champion too. So he's got a couple different ways to get that car in the race, and it just made the most sense to put me in the 21 and him in the 29. Gave both of us a lot of security as far as getting the race in case of rain.
But now, Jeff, you kind of like not only being a race car driver, but you're being a politician this week. You've been out, on this new program. You're peanut, right? Peanut butter, and your other guy's chocolate, right?
And let me tell you something. Everybody needs a vote. You can go on Reese's.com and vote for peanut butter, because rumor has it that peanut butter is lagging behind chocolate. So I need some help. Need all the help I can get.
Well, good luck in your polling, and good luck tomorrow afternoon, Jeff.
I appreciate it. We're really excited about it. Cup car is good. Singular Chevrolet is fast, and the Reese's Peanut Butter Lovers Chevrolet is fast. So we're looking for a good weekend.
He's got 1 win and 1 career pole here at Bristol. He's going to try for more, and there's the 4 car on track taking some time, running some laps, and we'll have more of final practice on speed in a moment. And mark your TV watching calendars. Thursday. Looks like Waltrip in the hang.
Looks like Howdy Doody to me.
Speed Channel presents the Michael Waltrip Celebrity Poker Tournament. Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., and more go head-to-head in a Texas Hold'em poker tournament. The Michael Waltrip Celebrity Poker Tournament, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
You know what? You can buy the hat, but that don't make you no cowboy. I can tell you that right now. And I'm not too sure it makes him even a very good poker player.
I was waiting for the music to come in.
Oh, okay.
Right now, Michael is 25th quickest in the 99 car. He's made 23 laps in this run. but his fastest lap was on lap 17.
Let's check in downstairs with Dick Berggren.
Well, we're watching Rusty Wallace, who is the lone sentry atop his truck. He's kind of keeping an eye on number 64 because he owns the car that's driven by Jeremy Mayfield today. And Rusty sort of watches the car go around the racetrack. Jeremy comes in, and then, as is Rusty's habit, Rusty suggests a whole collection of changes. Track bars, spring, air pressure. Let's try this, let's try that. It's really kind of neat to watch because Rusty does exactly the same thing with his own Nextel Cup car when he's racing. He calls all the changes. Now he's doing it for Jeremy.
Now, do you think that those guys love the standalone Busch events and the non-companion events?
No, because there's still a thing called a cell phone. Because I know he was in contact with them when they were over in Nashville last week.
I was going to say the same thing, but the thing about Rusty, which is always somewhat impressive, he is the driver, he is the crew chief, he is the engineer, he is the shock specialist, all rolled into one.
They might want to listen to him because earlier in Cup practice, he was the fastest cat in the alley.
And how many races has he won here at Bristol?
9.
You don't get to victory lane here just by chance, boys. I hate to tell you that. You got to know what you're doing.
And his car is 7th in the owner points.
Tell you what, we're looking at Jeffrey Bodine in the 72 car here right now. And this is one of those go or go home cars when qualifying rolls off in the morning. And right now, he's 5th quickest, the 2nd quickest of those go or go home cars. Matt Kenseth in the 17th, the quickest. So right now, Jeffrey looking pretty good.
So is this the point in time in practice, Jeff and Larry, where you sit down and say, okay, we've got our race setup dialed in or close to it. Now do we sit down and do a mock or qualifying run or two?
And really, Jeff, the only decisions to make is, okay, we want to put tape across the nose,
right?
Put more downforce. What air pressure do we want to go with? And maybe what do we want to do with the track bar and the wedge? The things that NASCAR will let us adjust after qualifying before the race.
And the other thing you got to look at, too, guys, is where do you fall in as far as the have to qualify or don't have to qualify? You need to make sure you've got your race car where you can work your way up through the field. If you've got to give up a little bit, you want to give it up on the qualifying side so you can race good. Because tires are going to be a premium tomorrow. Take a look right there at Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, not the 21. So you got to realize right now he's 11th fastest in this final practice session, the Chocolate Lover's car. But making those right decisions of what's important to you and what kind of agenda you're on is also very important to every one of these guys that's here at the track. And for Jeffrey Bodine, getting in this race is what he's got to worry about. We'll tune around the car the best way we can tomorrow.
Special place for Kevin Harvick, and you can see why. 3 career wins. He's led 726 laps and earned 2 career poles.
And he was wearing New York City out earlier this week on all kinds of television shows. I even saw him on Dayside Live on the Fox News channel.
With Linda Vester. 24 minutes complete in his final practice session. 1 hour here at Bristol. And Martin Truex Jr. leading the way, followed by Kenseth, rookie Reed Sorensen, who won last week at Nashville. Jeff Burton making his first start here since 1998. Jay Sauter, the 75 car, 5th. And Blake Feast behind the wheel of the 5 car this week.
He's back there about 46 fastest right now, guys, and I'm sure Blake is still probably trying to figure his way out around this racetrack. He's only had 7 career starts, and when you come to a place like Bristol, they can be quite intimidating.
But, Matt, you were talking earlier about Tyler Walker, Blake Feast as well back in 2001. They decided here at Bristol to put 10 inches of dirt on the concrete for a World of Outlaws race. They ran for 2 days. Blake finished 9th one day and 24th in the other. And the most amazing thing, he said the speeds of those cars were about 2 seconds faster than these Busch Series cars. These Busch Series cars are pretty fast.
Well, those World of Outlaw cars are pretty fast
Yes,
too, my
they
friend.
are.
I hate to tell you.
His first ever sponsor, Danny Lasowski. And there's the official owner of the 33 car, Delana Harvick.
Keeping a watchful eye on the 33 car, being driven by Tony Raines this weekend. And presently, last time I checked with him, he's 16th quickest. A couple guys are making qualifying runs, but he was up there about 11th a minute ago. But Tony's another one of those drivers that knows how to get around Bristol quite well.
Well, and he's hoping that first-time magic continues on. Tony Stewart, 3 times he finished second, and then he won the season opening race at Daytona. Tony Raines has finished second 3 times, including once right here at Bristol. So maybe this could be the weekend that he breaks through.
And I wouldn't be one bit surprised if that happened, because, again, we know this car is capable of winning. Tony Stewart's already proven that right there. They've got a great group of guys working on the car. So, you know, there's no reason to believe right now that this car cannot go to victory lane tomorrow.
And like a lot of the cars that's in the top 10 in points, right now this team's sharing between 2 different drivers. They're sitting 5th in the owner points, not that far out of the owner points lead. We have a lot of teams up in the top 10. The 21 car, Rusty Wallace's 64 car, chasing the owner's championship.
And Tony's off the gas. He's going to head back down to pit road, where we find Dick Bergeron.
And I'm looking for Matt Kenseth, but I can't find him here anywhere. You know, the guy's got a good chance to win the race tomorrow. He's won 2 of his last 6 starts here and finished second in the practice session here just a few moments ago, but Matt's gone. And you know what the mechanics are doing? Cleaning up this car. They're all done practicing. Brand new car. They came here, they tested, and they're ready to race. Testing is done. Practice is over. Time to win the trophy.
But Dick, if it's not broke, why fix it?
Yeah,
and I think Matt Kenseth, he knows what it takes to get around there. In 10 races, he's got 2 wins, so he knows what needs to be done.
And he'll chase career win number 18 later on tomorrow as Russell William Wallace talking to Jimmy McMurray.
Still working on the setup.
Still working on it. Are you sure you don't want to try that shot? Back, final practice continues here in Thunder Valley, and declare your citizenship to the biggest NASCAR show to hit the air. NASCAR Nation on Speed Channel, with special features like NASCAR Beyond the Wheel, Home Base, and The Big Story. NASCAR fans can now stay closer than ever to America's biggest motorsport. Don't miss Ralph and the Gang Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Well, there right there is a young man who came very close last weekend. As close as anybody got, let's put it that way, to Reed Sorensen. That's Kenny Wallace. They finished second at Nashville. And guys, I believe that this team is starting to come together, putting together some pretty solid runs. And to come here at Bristol, which is a good racetrack for Kenny. He settled a pole there before. He runs extremely well here. It could be a breakthrough also for him this weekend.
And he was funny earlier this week. He said, you know, I told Wes Ward, my crew chief, there you see 23 Bristol starts, 1 win, 1 pole. But look at the top 10, 17.
74%.
I told my crew chief, Wes Ward, I don't know what to do with this race car. It's as good as I've ever had. It's driving good. And that just goes to show you, I think, just how good Reed and Sorensen in that 41 was.
Oh, that had to have been very frustrating. We take a look at, we're on board with Kenny right now, and he's coming in, I guess, to get ready to make a few adjustments to that 22 car. Probably talking to his crew chief.
He looks animated.
Oh, he's always animated. Yeah, he's always animated. Every now and then, though, you can get Herman. That's his nickname. They call him Herman. But when he gets serious about his race car, he can get just as intense as his brother, Rusty, if you believe that. The guy who's always got that, how would you call it? Unrecognizable, or just, anytime he laughs, you know who it is.
Distinctive.
You normally hear him before you see it.
Exactly.
He's 24th right now in the speed charts, but the fastest man is no longer the fastest man, as Martin Truex has been knocked off fast time by Reed Sorensen, who jumped up to the #1 spot. Different colors this week for the 41 team.
It's going to take a little while for me to kind of get used to that. I'm so used to seeing them in the discount tire car, the different color they ran. Most of the color they run all year long, they kind of like got red, black, white. So it's different, very different.
Ryan Patty told me each week they hit a different racetrack. It's like he goes up another step on the ladder, and he's amazed at the progress that he sees week in and week out. And a big win last week at Nashville, led 197 laps, a Nashville NASCAR Busch Series record to score his first career win, and did it from the pole and in dominating fashion.
In only his 11th career start.
Now you look back to Atlanta, right as he exited pit road to make his qualifying attempt, transmission troubles, the crew tried to fix it, they ran out of time. He climbed in Sterling Marlin's car to compete at his home track, but then 1 week later, last Saturday, he dominated, took the checkered flag, took a ride through the grass. We got the Gibson guitar. In fact, Kevin Bono Manion told me the last time he saw a dominating run like that was Dale Earnhardt Jr. a few years ago in the Busch car, the first win for Bono when they took that checkered flag at Richmond.
It was incredible. I mean, I was working down on pit road, and the way they were able to get that car hooked up all day long. I mean, it's one thing to go out and sit on a pole, but to be able to have it that strong from the time they dropped that green flag the entire afternoon. The only time anybody passed him was on pit road, and that's because he came down pit road and they stayed out. Other than that, I don't think there was ever a car all day long that ever passed that number 41 car. Was there, Larry?
Not even close. And we're looking at Sterling Marlin in the 40 car right now, 12th quickest. He had problems early in Nashville last week with a sway bar rubbing the tire, and he's a previous winner here. He won here in 2000. I think he had Tennessee Volunteers on that car.
One of his 2 NASCAR Busch Series career wins came right here in Thunder Valley. 5 starts, 1 win, the spring event here. He's led 112 laps. Reed Sorensen still shows the way here at Bristol, followed by Martin Truex, Kenseth, Jeff Burton, and Dale Jarrett. 35 minutes in the books here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Final practice for the NASCAR Busch Series on speed. And the man who was one of the fastest cars earlier has dropped down to 11th, and he's with Dick Berggren.
And that's Shane Meal, and I'm wondering, is tomorrow the big day? You ready to win here in Bristol?
I hope so. The Winfield Chevrolet's been good, and tomorrow is one of my best friend's birthdays. It'd be Ricky Hendrick's 25th birthday tomorrow, so to win for Ricky and his family and Winfield would be great. You know, we've been inching up on it and can't seem to get it. Maybe tomorrow can be the day, and just all your fans, all Hendrick fans and all NASCAR fans, keep Mr. and Mrs. Hendrick in your minds and thoughts tomorrow, because it's a big day.
Thank you for your thoughts, Mike. Or, sorry.
That's okay, Dick. Shane Mills finished 3rd twice in his NASCAR Busch Series career, inching up on his first career win. Blake Feast behind the wheel, the 5 car this week.
Blake just really struggling with this racetrack right now. He's ran 43 laps in this practice, but he's 48th quickest out of the 49 cars that have been on the racetrack.
And a guy who just dominated the event last week at Nashville, scoring his first career win, joins us now. Reed Sorensen.
How you doing?
Congratulations on last week's big win.
Yeah, that was pretty cool for us. Hopefully we can do that again soon.
Reed, dominating a race as you did. I mean, you guys dominated the whole weekend. I think Chip Ganassi hit the nail on the head in his post-race interview. It became inevitable early in the race. It was you guys' race to lose. Did you ever wonder, okay, when's something going to happen? When am I going to lose a tire? When am I going to get into a lap car? I mean, you had to be thinking about those things.
Well, actually, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd stop. 5 laps before the caution, the car started pushing real bad. We came in, and when we took the right front off, it was flat. So we got really lucky, actually. I mean, it was completely flat on the right front. So that was a good luck for us, I guess. So I guess somebody was looking out for us.
Now, Blake, you got to realize you're 19 years old. Reed, I'm sorry. Reed, the deal is right now, I talked to your mother earlier today, and I was laughing about the fact, I said, well, at least you didn't have champagne all in your hair because, you know, you couldn't celebrate like the older guys would. So what did you do to celebrate?
Well, we had Pepsi there. They sprayed a little Pepsi on me, but we had to go test Phoenix on Tuesday, so we really didn't have much time to celebrate. Everybody went home and tried to get as much sleep as they could, and we went and had a really good test there, and now we're here in Bristol having a good time, so maybe if we win another one, we'll have a little extra time to celebrate.
And you guys have done a lot of testing, haven't you?
Yeah, we get it, you know, a couple extra tests because we're a rookie, and we've tried to been real smart on where we test. And we tested here just because we're racing here twice. We tested Phoenix because that's a tough place, and you know, some of the places you don't need to test, but some of them you definitely got to get out there and get some laps on.
Reed, I think your race team made a huge statement last week to come back and dominate that weekend as you guys did after that disaster in Atlanta qualifying.
Yeah, that was kind of a heartbreaker for myself. It was my hometown, and I really wanted to do well in front of everybody. But this whole team never, you know, thought about it twice. We went to the next weekend. We knew we could get a top 10, if not a top 5, and then we got the car really good in practice, and no, they just never let me down. They had my back the whole time, and that's where this group is right here. We got each other's back all the time, and it's going to be a good year for us, I think.
Reed, we're talking about the number of places you've tested so far. How many more tracks have you not seen so far that's on the circuit?
Well, we're testing Watkins Glen. I've never seen that. I think we're testing Dover, and we're going to go to Charlotte because they ground the track, so I'm sure it's a lot different now. There's a couple more. I have to look at the schedule, but you know, we're just trying to space them out and be smart about it. That way we don't have a big disadvantage, especially with this tire rule. You can only burn up one set in practice, so you just got to be smart.
Well, good luck on qualifying tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, this place is cool. I can't wait.
That's what everybody says. This place is just cool. You talk to so many different drivers, and everybody says, this is my favorite place.
Yeah, it's a great racetrack right there as far as that's concerned. But at the same time, when you see a young man like this, it's got to be like a dream come true to come to a place like Bristol and get an opportunity to race.
Well, he was the fast man, Reed Sorensen, but now Clint Boyer in the Blue Deuce holds the fast time here in Thunder Valley. Bud Pole qualifying coming up next, live right here on Speed, followed by Trackside tonight, 7 p.m. live. Saturday, Bush Pole qualifying for the NASCAR Bush Series, high noon, and then NASCAR this morning, Sunday, 11 a.m. live. Who are you guys going to have on the show tonight?
We have got the deck stacked full. We had talked to Reed Sorensen. We're going to have him and Carl Edwards, 1 and 2 in the Bush Series point. Kurt Busch, King of Bristol right now, and Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield. Maybe Rusty will still be working on that setup when he gets to trackside.
Oh, boy. That could be trouble.
Guys, we're taking a look here at David Green from Owensboro, Kentucky. Darrell Walter Land. He's 11th quickest right now. He's another one of those guys that's looking to try to get a breakthrough run here tomorrow here at Bristol.
You see that one win there, probably one of the most unique wins that there's ever been. He was running second when the caution came out late in the race. Mark Martin was leading the race. Mark came off the racetrack before the checkered flag, thinking he had taken the checkered flag, and David Green was declared the winner.
And everybody said, what is going on?
So did David Green.
Kind of like, look, Ma, look what I found.
This is a team that they need a good solid run to kind of get their season turned around, and I think this definitely could be the place that it could happen for David Green, his 27th career.
Last win came at Kansas 2003. His best finish last year was a third, 3 separate occasions. He finished the year 7th in the championship standings.
And I think the biggest thing that this group has been fighting with is the fact they made the swap from the Chevrolet over to the Ford, and these guys have been telling me we're just having a tough time finding the balance. Even though the aero is very similar on a Ford and a Chevrolet, they've been having a tough time just finding what this car is looking for as far as tape on the nose and things of that nature.
Now he's a veteran. You've got someone like Reed Sorensen, who's a rookie. And then you've got someone like Clint Boyer, who's going to join our telecast. He was the fast man here in Bristol. So how big for you experience-wise to build that consistency, Clint, to go week after week after week in that 2 car, not have to share the car?
Oh, it's big, you know, just having your first full season. It's been, you know, huge for me being in the car every week, just like you said. It's been really big, and it's a different animal here. Having a lot of fun. AC'd up, our car's running really good, but it was pretty fast there for a little bit. Still just run that 17, but the car was pretty good. I think I left us a little bit on the table, so I think there's a little bit left there, but for the most part, I don't know if I want to start out front of these guys just the first week's out.
Well, now, when you talk about that, though, how does the car feel to me? Is this place as much fun as everybody makes it out to be for you, Clint? I mean, every time we talk to one of the drivers, this is a fun racetrack, fun racetrack. Do you find it to be that kind of a challenge for you that it turns out to be fun?
Yeah, absolutely. It is fun. We came here and tested, had a pretty good test. And I'm glad I was able to come out here and test it. It helped me out a lot. The track is really fun. It's obviously going to be pretty hard when we get all the cars out there and get to racing. You know, I was trying to get around some cars and run some laps, you know, in traffic and as much as I can. And that's going to be the main thing. You know, anybody can go out here and run laps by themselves, but you got all these other guys out there. That's when it gets interesting.
Well, good luck in the race and qualifying tomorrow, Clint.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
He watched the race last fall here just to see what he could learn from the pit box, and came here and tested to see what he could learn on the racetrack. He looks pretty fast so far. We'll be back with more after this. back in Thunder Valley, and Mike Joy's favorite show, I think, on speed. The Barrett-Jackson Automobile Auction in Palm Beach tonight. It's on speed. It all starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, following you show trackside.
Dick Bergeron says the reason Mike Joy knows about all those cars, he at one time or another has owned each and every one of those cars.
I believe it. His garage is not a garage, it's like a warehouse. And let's go downstairs to Dick Bergeron.
Well, let's talk to Greg Biffle instead. You have got a very, very fast race car here.
Yeah, we do. You know, Subway Duraflame car is really good. National Guard car is pretty good, too. We just didn't make a qualifying run on the Nextel Cup side. But over here in Newton, these guys just worked so hard. It's so fun to drive for this Ruco team. I've never met a group of guys that work as hard as these guys do. And that's fun for me, having guys work that hard on a race car.
You enjoy yourself here at Bristol?
Yeah, it's a tough racetrack, and I really, really enjoy it. It's so much fun. And I can't wait for Saturday and Sunday.
Good for you. This guy gets a chance to run in both races, Matty.
He's pulling double duty. And, Jeff, when you look at the weather, it's been a concern really for about the last 2 days coming up to Bristol. It's overcast now. Now, if you're Jeff Burton, who drew the 49th spot out of 49 cars who will attempt to qualify tomorrow, is that going to be a good draw or a bad draw?
I think it's going to be a pretty good draw because the way the weather's looking, even if we get through practice here today and we get Nextel Cup qualifying in, based off of what the weatherman's saying, we're going to get some rain at this racetrack. And if it cleans this racetrack, Larry, it's going to make you wonder whether you're going to have good grip if you go out first like Michael Waltrip's going to do tomorrow, or if you go out later on, will you have an idea what the track's going to do? Will it come more to be like what you're going to see during this practice session than early?
Normally when it gets washed down until a little rubber gets put back down on the racetrack, the track normally is a little bit looser. But the one thing we need to mention is this racetrack is all concrete. And one thing I always liked about the concrete, unless there was a huge weather swing, the track did not change that much.
Yeah, again, it may not change that much as we watched Tyler Walker go under the 4-car around Hemp Hill. But what you got to worry about is, like you say, if it happens to rain here tonight, you're the first guy out there, and you got your car set up where it's, I can stand it like it is right now to make a qualifying attempt, but I don't want to be too tight in the race. What are you going to do then? Because you can't work on that race car. You're going to be stuck with it, so you're going to be kind of like the mercy of what happens here later on tonight and the luck of the draw.
And the thing about it, I know we somewhat, to some degree, of the cars that are locked in the show, we somewhat downplayed qualifying, saying those guys want to get their car ready to race. But with that said, a 250-lap race tomorrow, if there's one racetrack you want to qualify good at, it's Bristol, simply because if you start up front, it's so hard to pass, plus that pit selection you get that goes along with it.
Yeah, it's very important as we take a look at, talk about being important. Eric McClure, basically hometown boy here in Bristol. His dad's shop and everything right up the road there in Abington, Virginia. And right now he's 28th quickest, and I know he's wanting to make this race because I'm sure he's got a lot of fans in this area.
So if you're not on the pole, what pit stall would you like? Would you like the last stall on the backstretch?
You'll see them pick the 4 corners pretty much. You'll see them pick the one exiting over in turn 1. You'll see them pick the very first one coming onto the front stretch pit, and then you'll see them pick the 2 M's on the back stretch.
Oh, but I hate to argue with you there, my illustrious colleague, because now that we have the timing and scoring probably around that loop area right there, I wonder if guys are going to want to do that, because you're not going to take advantage of a stopwatch timer like you used to. You're going to have timing marks that may keep you from taking advantage of that. What do you think?
The only thing that still may be an advantage, those, Jeff, remember these pit boxes are so small, so tight, that at least gives you an opening on one side of the
that one right there, my friend, I'll give you. Anytime you get an opening, it's always an advantage.
I think this debate can go on forever about where you want to pick for your pit stall, but
maybe let's go to break then.
And let's go to break. Right now, though, Shane Meal, he's turning the fastest time so far during his final practice. Six minutes left in this final practice session for the NASCAR Busch Series. Shane Meal showing the way, followed by Paul Menard, who had a great run in both races last year, just didn't have the luck to get the good finish. Biffle, Wallace, Denny Hamlin, second start on concrete ever. Boyer, Edwards, Kenny Wallace, Stacy Compton, and Reed Sorensen rounding out your top 10. Let's go to Dick.
With Paul Menard, you got a very fast race car last year, not around at the end. What's the strategy this year to make sure you are?
Well, it's Bristol, so you got to keep your nose clean. And You know, every race we've been to this year, we've been pretty good. We just got to finish the race, and we got to keep our nose clean. And Bristol's going to be tough to do, but we got a really good race car. Quaker State, Menards, Chevy, Dan Stillman, all the boys are working real hard on it, and it's pretty fast.
So you got the right focus. Be there at the end.
Thank you.
So as a crew chief and a spotter, how do you get your driver in that cushion so he can go out and just run lap after lap, stay out of trouble until the finish?
I think one of the keys here is you've got to be able to look through the windshield of the car in front of you. You can't just race the back deck lid of the man in front of you, because if you do, something happens, you're going to be in that deck lid before you know what happens. I always thought the drivers that are successful are able to look 2 or 3 cars ahead and kind of anticipate what is going to happen before it happens. And you can have a spotter that's willing to be 5 and 6 cars ahead of where you are.
I mean, it happens so fast here. I mean, this is a half-mile racetrack. 36 degrees of banking, more banking than Daytona and Talladega. And as you saw on the speed charts, there you see the spotters on top of the grandstand. They're running around here in 15 and a half seconds.
Todd Wilkerson, David Green's spotter, told me that this place is almost more stressful and harder for a spotter to do his job than at Daytona or Talladega, which is a restrictor plate race.
Well, you can't take your eyes off of anything for, like Larry said, for a split second. Otherwise, you'll even lose where your car is on the racetrack. If you happen to look up or glance up at the wrong place at the wrong time, you can lose your race car.
And Ashton Lewis Jr. in the Marines car, he's had a very solid first part of the year. You know, his goal through the first 6 or 7 races, stay out of trouble, and so far so good. He's 5th in points.
Give these guys just a little bit of time to get kind of acclimated. Everyone we've seen some of these changes as far as drivers, and you know, he's got his brother over there, Charlie, working on the car now. All these things have an effect on what you're used to doing as far as your routine, because he's driven for himself for such a long period of time that once they kind of get themselves acclimated, this team will be tough probably the next maybe 4 to 5 races, or maybe when they come back off that next break, they'll be able to come back with a really, really serious run.
See Steve Grissom right there in the 49 car. Steve, familiar with victory lane here, 2-time winner, in fact swept both the 1995 races.
Also has 1 career pole, the fall race here in 1993 with 6 career top 5s in those 21 starts.
Son Kyle turning out to be quite the little racer, starting to do a little racing in late models, been racing in the Legends. So Kyle finding his way into the sport.
As Leonard Wood has said many times, he holds a nice wheel. I've seen him run that Bandolero, and boy, a lot of talent with that young man.
Now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. We got 18 drivers that have got to qualify their way into tomorrow's show. Is that right?
Yeah, we have 49 cars here, and the top 30 in owner points that's eligible are locked in. So that means we have 19 cars that's going after 13 positions. See Ryan Hemphill in the 4 car here. He was pretty quick earlier. Now he has actually fallen back to 38th quickest. He's ran 62 laps in this practice session.
So who are those guys that are concerned about qualifying? There you see it. And a lot of big names too. Matt Kenseth,
Kevin Harvick.
And we know that Kevin Harvick and Joe Nemechek in particular would be eligible for the championship provisional. Now, Jeff Green is a past Busch Series champion, but because he did not compete in a race last year, he is not eligible for the championship provisional.
And Ricky Vyers told me the 29 car that you're seeing on your screen, really the only thing different, they just changed the number. It's the 21 team that you see week in and week out. And that's the chocolate lovers paint scheme. You saw Jeff Burton earlier with the peanut lovers paint scheme.
Guys, I hate to tell you this right now. I like chocolate.
Let's take a look at the weekend all across the Fox networks. This is better than chocolate, Jeff.
All right.
Today, Nextel Cup qualifying, 5:30 Eastern. And then tomorrow, Busch Series qualifying, high noon, followed by the Busch Series race presented by Reese's, 2 p.m. Eastern. Then Sunday, kick off your day, NASCAR this morning, 11 a.m., followed by the Nextel Cup race over on the Fox network. And the NASCAR Victory Lane, 8 p.m. Eastern.
750 laps of racing, and I promise you, before it's over with, somebody's going to be mad at somebody. Somebody's feelings are going to be hurt. And I'd say there'd be a pretty good line out in the NASCAR trailer as well.
If you're a driver, you always highlight this race as a must-go-to. If you're a fabricator, you're highlighting going, I'm going to be working Monday and Tuesday, probably putting in a lot of hours.
Now, guys, a minute ago, you were talking about Jeff Greenman, former champion, as well as, he's got his brother, David. Well, there's the third of the Green brothers, Mark. And so he'll be trying to make the race tomorrow. Having all three Green brothers racing here at Bristol.
Carl Edwards going to try for another win here in Thunder Valley. Put a Busch win up alongside his Truck Series win, talking to owner Jack Roush. So just lock it down on speed. We've got plenty of NASCAR racing, qualifying, practice shows all ahead here on Speed. Stay tuned.